Oh, no. What is it? An obtuse triangle. It's the wider base. That's the opposite side of this triangle. Okay? And then as you go into an obtuse triangle,
I thought mine over matters, but I don't mind, it don't matter.
I don't mind hitting the guy, because at the moment it don't matter. That's the mind over matter. I practice.
Okay, I just want to get on the blocks, just to tie up what Mr. Hancock was doing there earlier. Also, I suppose the question to you now, just to get it to change the subject a little bit. What is Kenpo?
Law of this.
Law, I guess, common answer, law of this, which is true. But what is it really? Martial arts, self-defense system, etc., right? Okay, what comprises it to me is several factors. Number one, the 8 considerations. There's several things that put it together that roll up together. So as we do all these basics, as we tie into why this is here, why this is here, how Mr. Parker developed this stuff, is what makes to me sense of actually what is Kenpo. It's a depth meaning. A lot of the martial arts, including what I thought Kenpo was in the beginning, was mystical. I find more and more there's absolutely nothing mystical about it. It's all just common sense and logic which puts it together. It's just a matter of understanding what's been laid out, what's been set forth for us. Does everybody know the 8 considerations? What are they?
Environment, range, missions, maneuvers, targets, weapons, blocks, cover.
Environment, range, positions, maneuvers, targets, natural weapons, blocks, and cover. What is environment? Say what?
Where you are.
Environment is, I have Mr. Hancock's here.
Everything that's on you, in you, and around you. All what call that.
So as we
Or
talk,
we could say anything that's around you, on you, or in you. What does it mean when we say that? If you're ill like I am now, is that an environmental situation that occurred which now limits my ability to perform the way I want it? So is that an environmental thing that's in me? Yes. Okay, clothing is something that you have on you. A comb that you use to slice across his throat or his face to open it up. Those are environmental objects that are on you if you need it. Sorry.
okay, so as we discover these things, a lot of times in seminars I've passed myself, I've heard these things, but I didn't examine them deep enough. Really take them to the extent. Take the ball and run with them for a while. The same thing with range, positions, maneuvers, targets, etc. But I tell the students right now in the beginning stages, all my beginning guys, I like to have them just memorize these. Even if you don't understand them, just memorize them. Later on, you continually go back to them and fill in the understanding. Okay? Next are, of course, principles. Those range from stabilization of base, point of origin, which are 2 very important ones. If you don't have those 2, what's going to happen with everything else? So as you start picking up these terms and then start applying them, which we're all trying to do consistently, and make more and more of the movements and more principles together at once. Obviously, that's another portion to our system, correct? A lot of other systems do not have these things. They're there, but what's the difference between Taekwondo and us? We're both human beings studying this, correct? The difference is the method that we're attacking it and the material that we have to search and work with. That's what makes us different. Because the people, are they any different? It's just how we're developing
You have to
ourselves.
have slant eyes to make this work? You don't, and that's a misconception all the way around. The art only works at its max if you're oriental. No, it's not the case. As long as you chew gum and walk at the same time, you can do it.
Okay? So I'm kind of hitting these, I'm kind of just itemizing. Later on we'll go into and tie them in a little more. Okay, forward reverse motion. Does everyone understand what that means? That's the key. It's one key. Okay? Everybody, that's training works. Okay, inward, there's inward block. Okay? Left. Vertical outward. Left. Upward. Left. Downward. Left. And extend out. Left. Okay? Which blocks are brother or sister to each? Which ones are closely related in terms of forward and reverse? The inward and the downward. Vertical or extended? The vertical, the inward and the vertical, how so?
Outward and down.
The outward and downward are in one group, and The others are in another group? The remaining?
Yeah.
Why?
We should try them on the same one, just
You're thinking plain, there's many factors to take into consideration. Okay, now I want you to consider just the rotation of your hand. If you rotate your hand in a punch, for example, one way it's going to go clockwise, the reverse of that is going to go counterclockwise. Same thing with a block. Even though maybe just a fraction turn, it's going to go which way? One way or the other. It doesn't have to move at all in some direction. In that case, we do run it this way in a circle, so we're either going clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay? So the inward block and the vertical outward block are the only two blocks that go the same direction. The extended, the outward, and the downward are the others. Follow me? Okay, do an inward block. The right hand. Just work the right hand. Which way does it go? Inward? Does it go clockwise or counterclockwise? It's going clockwise, right? What about the vertical outward? Clockwise also, right? Just because they go inward or outward doesn't matter. The fact is that the slight torquing action goes here or here. Okay, now what about the upward?
One is you're on this half. You know what I mean? You're going on this half, the other is you're going.
When you're moving inside and blocking to the inside, so one difference is you are moving this way, but in terms of the torquing action, which way? The inward still does what? The action of the arm still moves clockwise. Vertical outward, you're working the outside, the action of the arm still is clockwise. Okay? Now, what about the upward? Look at the wrist. Okay. Okay, what about the extended outward? Counterclockwise. What about downward? They're all the same block. They are being thrown on different angles, which gets into this. Okay? They're going, so they're all three related here, and these are related. Extended outward. Going counter. Okay, so there's only how many motions?
two.
Even though there's several different ways to block, this way and that way, there's still what? Two motions, okay? Keep together. Relating that now to a different area, step back with your right leg, left with your both. Which is that? Okay, you step back forward. When you step through forward, that's all the relationship is. It's not meant to confuse you. Do you see what I'm saying? There's only two actions that you have. You have the family of counterclockwise and the family of clockwise. Whether you're working stepping now, you're either moving your body, moving and talking together, you use it as a unit, you're working this way, and that's where you generate what? Backup mass and torque. By understanding these rotations, it can eventually lead to, bringing your hand into a different area other than just being a sequence seeker, where all you're trying to do is tackle the sequences, learn all these things. Those don't matter. The sequences don't matter to me anymore. I used to be a sequence seeker myself, but now I'm getting sold, I've been sold, on studying this stuff, even at the elbow level, because this is what's developing later down the road. Okay? Training horse again. Punch. Right hand. Punch. Clockwise or counterclockwise? Okay? And pull it back to your side. Back elbow. So the reverse motion of that is a back elbow. We can turn them different gestures with the hand. This is the punch, this is the this, etc., but they're still what? Falling under the heading of forward reverse motion, which is one of the...
When the left hand is used, it's what?
On the opposite side, when we get to the opposites, anything on the opposite side, which is your left hand, would be directly opposite. Do a left inward block. What's that going to be?
Would be clockwise.
Whatever the right hand did, the left hand is going to be exactly opposite. So this is where, just trying to bring to a relationship. I know you heard forward reverse motion and opposites. You got to know the difference. There's a distinct difference there, right? But these happen in every move you do. Do an overhead claw. Or family. Think of it in terms of clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay? Now pick any technique that you want. Center knuckle, heel palm. What's it going to follow? Overhead outward elbow, overhead inward. What's it going to follow? It's either going to be on the clockwise plane, or it's going to be on the, and you can change it from this way to this way to this way, it doesn't matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? I think these factors, when you think about these, when you go back to take the delayed sword, and you try to figure out how the body rotation goes this way and how this hand ties in this way, when you start thinking of these mechanics, because that's what Mr. Parker says we're trying to become, is mechanics of motion. Anyone can drive an automobile, not everyone can
Mechanics
fix it.
of motion, but mechanics of motion. So you can dissect it, examine it, reassemble it, and understand it to a point where later on you say, hey, that carburetor move that I got in there, I think I can make it a little better by going 80 miles to the gallon. So now you become an engineer of motion. When you make that modification after having become a mechanic of motion.
Okay, so this is the premise to all the actions that you're learning. When you step back this way, when you step forward, the leg's reaching this way, the leg's reaching this way. If you think about it, what you're really learning is, to me, two motions. It's just mastering two motions in all sorts of different planes and using arms and legs and your body and environment and other factors. But that's it. You're only really learning, to me, two things. But you have to learn a million ways in which to apply those two factors. So how hard is our system? How difficult is it? Very simple. There's only two things you got to learn. Because you got to learn how to modify it 1,000 different ways. Okay, moving off of forward and reverse, there's also formalities. Okay, so Mr. Parker is a non-traditionalist, yet we still have certain formalities that we do like to follow. Like wearing the belts to the side or to the center, saluting each other, bowing onto the band areas, things like that. So that's just another factor of what is Kenpo. We do have some traditional aspects to our system to give reference to some of our prior ancestors, the original founders of some of the people that started us thinking, or our forefathers thinking about these things, so we can pick up and expand upon. Also, the web of knowledge. Does anyone know what the web of knowledge is?
It's an expansion of what a technique could be, branching out from basic working on to further concepts.
Techniques are like that. Graphs,
Exactly. It's a strategic layout of the system. You might have seen in the techniques the picture of the web of knowledge. What is the web of knowledge reference to? Is anybody not familiar with it? Raise your hand. Don't be bashful. Not familiar with the web? Okay, good. The web is just the not chronological, but the prioritizing of techniques. Okay, and they start with what's the least most important type of attack you can be attacking with. What's the least most important attack? A grab. Why? What's the intention? Just to grab, right? There's nothing extremely
The
dangerous.
left hand doesn't follow right grab. Right? Then the arm becomes a dead arm, and it allows you time to think of what your answer might want to be. That's all.
Okay. What's the next move? What's the next move? Damaging.
push,
A push. Third.
punch,
Punch. Fourth. Kick. Fifth. Hug or hold. Six. Lock or choke. Seven. Bend knife or club. Okay, what's the first technique you yell? What is it?
Blade sword.
play punch,
Blade sword. So what? Guess what? A grab. Specifically put there for what? It would work for a right punch. If I come and throw a right punch, he could do this. It also could be for a pressing kick. It could be for a number. It could be for a number of things. When we get into applications, what's it specifically originally designed for? For a grab. What's the second technique?
push,
A push. What's the third one?
punch,
Kick. A punch. Right? What's the next one? Kick. What's the next one? Hug or hold. What's the next one? Lock. What's the next
Now,
one?
why do we put that down as a priority? Okay, that's greater than a punch. I'm not kick.
I'll go with that. Okay. So we got locks on the next one is club, the yellow belt. Got knife or club basically, right? Did you realize that your techniques were arranged in that manner? Okay, that's the web. Now they're also being rearranged, the orange, purple, blue, green, etc. Because when Mr. Parker change the system or reorganize the system from the 32 techniques we used to have. It's through off-kilter some of the techniques, so we do have a new order. Techniques are the same, it's just we rearranged them so that he can get to the web of knowledge, and the reason for that was the severity of each one. Going into the next moves, it makes pretty much sense. When the grab is here, then the push, then the punch, then the kick, because you're dealing with stronger and stronger weapons, aren't you? Then when we get to hugs or holds, why is hug or hold less damaging than a kick? Does that make sense? The kick's your biggest weapon. Why did he prioritize and put a hug or a hold behind kicks in priority? What's the reason? Surprise maneuver. And oftentimes from a blind side. If you notice the first attacks in the elbow also, where's the first one from? From the front. Where's the second one? From the front. Where's the third one? From the front. Notice the first move, what he does. Which foot moves? Right foot. Notice the second move. The left one in front. Second move. Push. Third move. Notice what we're drilling the beginner with? His most natural reactions. He's trying to get the student to come in and get them to move naturally. Most people move.
Using his strong trap.
Their strong arms, which is the right. So we're trying to train them. These are things that I like to point out, that the way I found things that you've designed and the techniques usually don't happen by coincidence. There's some, what was it, is either by design or by accident. Right. And obviously, when there's so many of these things, I have to follow to believe that all of a sudden he just come up with a couple of things, all of a sudden have to be so right that everything just fell in by accident. So these are things I think that help enhance the instructors to the students. So when the students, oh wow, they understand more of this, it makes the yellow belt much more presentable for you and much more logical, even more so than you already have in terms of just learning the sequences and the principles, which are extremely important, obviously, to efficiency. But understanding this layout, I think, and I found very interesting as well. Okay, so we got a surprise maneuver. Next is lock or a choke. Why would that next be on priority? The hug or hold hindered you and was a surprise maneuver. What about a lock or a choke?
Light force.
A choke would be
Still. Light what?
Your light force or your airline.
life threatening. Okay, and of course, last but not least, guns, knives, gloves, of course, ICBMs also in this category. Okay, but then we have a weapon, and we're dealing with an extension. There's another category also when you're dealing with extending beyond, and that's multiples. Multiple grab punch, multiple weapons. So there's, you can think about them down the road. We'll get into those at some point. That's what the web of knowledge is for. And if you notice at the top of the chart, it says in the order that to be taught. That's why that says that. There's a reason for it. Every time you do something, there's a reason for it. Okay? So that's something for you to think about. Go back and hatch with what techniques are where and why they're there. So ask a lot more of why, which is what book 5 goes into, which I'm kind of giving you a little bit of an introduction into. It's the why. Why do we do all this stuff? Other than just, here's how we do it, here's what we do, but here's also why we do it. Okay? Then he goes into system organization. The system organization is, we have basics, techniques, forms, and sparring. Okay, what's the basic organization of basics? What's the most important basic we have? Stance. Stance is the most important basic. Why?
Foundation.
Where are you in? Stance. If you don't have a stance, how can you perform the block? If you have a weak stance, your block may be less effective, right? What's the second most important basic that we have? What are they first? Stances, blocks, strikes, parries, kicks, finger techniques.
It's a strike.
Canvas.
They're all strikes. They all come under the category of strikes. Finger techniques.
Okay. What else?
But what do you do with stances?
Foot maneuvers. So what's the second most important basic movement? Foot maneuvers. Why?
Is that distance is your arm?
Oftentimes before you can do a block, kick, punch, what must you do? Maneuver in some fashion. Okay, so you may have to do a foot maneuver. Not always. There's no only, or there's no must, but as a general rule to follow, this is why. Okay? And then of course there's techniques, like the technique breakdown which gave you, which is the web knowledge. Then there's forms. Okay? Supporting the forms, if you look at the sets, everybody know the blocking set, striking set, stand set, coordination set, kicking set. Notice how Mr. Parker is reinforcing the basics that we have in our system with a stand set. Why is a stand set? What's the purpose of a stand set? To pay isolation attention is to isolate what? The stances and moving, you know, of course foot maneuvers are moved in that obviously, right? Because every time you're moving you have to do something. What else does he have in terms of the sets? Figure sets, coordination sets, blocking sets, kicking sets, striking sets. What has he done to reinforce? He's given us basics, but not just give them to him and let him die. There's also a tie-in to the sets. Then we got the numbered sets. Okay, and they have their purposes as well. What is short 3, for example? Stress. All against stress, the 3s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skip. Elaborate the term form and set in terms of what it is.
Does everybody know the difference between a dictionary and an encyclopedia and appendix? You heard that idea? You knew that one? Dictionary what? Defines a word. Encyclopedia explains in greater detail. And an appendix gives you additional information. So in our system, short form 1, long form 1, short form 2, and long form 2 are the dictionaries. The short form 3 and above are the encyclopedias. And the sets are the appendices. In other words, you could do Kenpo without learning one set, which you just wouldn't do quite as well. That's what he's saying. The sense is going to reinforce the basics of basic sequences.
We won't have time to cover that. We have to end. But we can pick that up. What we're going to talk about is motion. Are you familiar with motion? And the organizational breakdown of motion? Let's just lightly touch on it.
Okay, going to the analyzation of motion, which what are we actually studying? Motion. Everything we're doing concerns motion, right? What is motion though? Which part's got it broken down into?
Before we go to that, we can give you a nice definition of motion.
Move, so to speak.
I mean, move.
Wow.
That it is?
Motion is a move.
A move, or motion then, is any object, the counterparts of that object, or extensions of that object, acting singularly or in combination together as they travel from one point to another.
Okay. And that's your interaction. Obviously, if an opponent is working on you, you need to interact, or an object or an appendage to strike back. But the hit later on, there is working an opponent attack you from what direction? The front, the back, right, left, above or below. Now think about yellow belt. Where's the first attack coming from? Front. Second one, front. Third one, front. Fourth one, front. Why? Most original techniques that are beginning attacks are dealt with where? In the front. Okay, then it goes on to the side, to the back. Okay. After we deal with the direction, which we're just getting on now, then we go into method. How many methods can we deal with?
In the use of motion.
Circular and linear. And where the circular stops, the linear begins and the reverse. Then we get into path. What pathway can we throw the circular or linear movements on? Horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. Okay? And if you throw them there, that brings you next into dimension, which is height, width, and depth. There's certain dimensions that you'll travel. And then the last is angular measure of degree. Which just be the angle.
The guys here, you chop it this way. What have you done in terms of the path? Okay. What if you did this?
Yeah.
Not like this. You went width, covered this real thorough. Are you familiar with the breakdown of this?
Okay, now, go back and go into it.
Before we leave, I'm going to give you food for thought, because I see Roy's pulling his hair all the time. Then we have the last one, which is angle or measure degree. Angle or measure degree. And we talked about that this morning. We talked about taking the path or taking a line. Remember? Circular pad, circular what? An adjustment of circular. The other you can take a path or you can take an adjustment. Adjustment is a degree of angle. Okay, now, in time, I want to let you folks think about this. If this is top and this is bottom, that's above and that's below. Okay? He's on the ground. Is this still above and below? But what's top and bottom? You try to bring this down. Now, all the changes that occur when what takes place? Position takes place. It starts to alter and really begins to make this interesting. And I gotta tell you, it goes even further. Where you have to go, boom. But once you understand it, it is so simple that it's complicated. Okay?
Okay,
This is just a start. We'll pick it up. You'll really start to last very much. Nothing else? You get anything from today's session? I know we're doing a lot of talking sometimes rather than action. But did you benefit from what we said? That's part of it is on that, hopefully. When we leave, you use that as a tool to remember that which you said. Okay? All right? Good.